What do you do to stay motivated? I like working. And that's it. And if work is the goal, then you measure yourself on how hard you worked.
That actually is the key, like to find out what you like doing and then do that. Because then it's not so much discipline, it's more pleasure.
I don't believe in like discipline fundamentally. Like the most in shape people like working out. That's
if you
it.
make me do something I don't want to do, I'll do it inconsistently and to a poor standard. So you get other people to help you with that so that you can just do the thing you want to do. That took me a long time to understand. That gave me the most troubles for the longest period of time. And, you know, that's why I'm partnering with Hormozi, because he is naturally good at being a personality in public and shit, and I hate that. So, like, that's the most important thing I've found is, like, figure out what you really want to do and just do that and get people around you to help with the other stuff.
And try to find people who are like at your, like, not compromising on quality. Like I know Sam tells a story that he interviewed 600 different engineers before he found the lead engineer at Skool, Daniel, right? And so like, I think you can say the same thing for wives. You can say the same thing for business partners. It's like, just don't compromise. Like if there is a Michael Jordan of the thing that you want to partner with, then just don't settle and try and find that person who can complement the skill set you have. I fundamentally was not against partnerships, but I had I've had 9 failed partnerships. And then I married Layla, and then everything's been cool since then. I basically didn't do any partnerships for a very long time. And it was because I didn't understand the dynamic. It was basically like all these people were like friends of mine. We all like business and we have the same skills and the same experience, and let's go into business together, which really just means like, now I'm doing everything and I get 1/3 as much money. I was like, well, that sucks, right? And so, but if every person is required to make any dollar, then everyone still has to work, and you want to find people who love doing that thing, that they're obsessed with it. Like they work 7 days a week because they can't stop working on it, because nothing else in life is more enjoyable to them.
Would maybe setting up your environment correctly, I guess.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
What do you recommend for that?
I mean, I think the environment, you want to make it easy as possible to work as hard as you can. And so think about it from a deletion perspective of like, what are all the things that take away from my ability to work, and how can I remove all of them? So like right now we have 3 assistants, and then we have 2 people who manage this building who also kind of act in an assistant capacity. I have my head of security who also helps out and does things. And so that is like, what are all the things that take my time? It's like eating takes my time, cleaning takes my time, errands take my time, fixing things, installing things, like everything that can possibly take your time, so that every minute of your day is going towards the work that you like doing. And in the beginning, you don't have the money to do that all the time, and that's fine. You just keep trading up dollars for time. Like as you make more dollars per hour, you just buy time back from people who can do it. And like, don't feel weird. Like the first time I had an assistant, I was like, I don't know if I feel weird that they're doing this stuff. Now I just like, whatever, they can just spoon feed me for all I care. Seriously, like if someone could eat for me, like and bathe for me, I would do it. Really. I'm gonna draw something for you guys. So motivation comes from deprivation. You were the horniest when you haven't fucked in a while. You're the sleepiest when you haven't slept in a while. You're the hungriest when you haven't eaten in a while. And so it's the lack of something that creates the deprivation of the thing is what creates the motivation. And so by that logic, you would then assume poor people should then be the most motivated to make money because they have the least of it. But the thing is that money is a construct. And so you only feel deprived of money if you think you can have a lot more, which is why the richest people in the world are actually the most deprived of money. I feel very, very poor because the guy above me last year took home $935 million in income, not appreciation, income. And so when I see that, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I so poor? Why do I suck? Right? And so the thing is the difference between like my income and his income is like here, right? But the difference between somebody who's making $5,000 a month and $10,000 a month, even though they make significantly less than I make, the level of deprivation that they experience is far lower. And so from a motivation perspective, it's creating deprivation. And part of that comes from surrounding yourself with people who do better than you.
Because I feel like, or at least for me, it was the motivation for me was unreal when I wanted to achieve freedom, not have to go to university,
Sure.
have all my needs met. Once that was reached,
Mm-hmm.
motivation to go that next level. I guess I was struggling to find the point. I do enjoy working, but it's like you said.
The question is, why is that a problem?
I don't know. I think I just, well, I enjoy working, but I just, maybe it's just my environment. I do, I'm still with my parents.
Yeah.
I work in my bedroom, so
Cool.
maybe I need to leave.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I would recommend it. Also, that'll help with the dating thing.
Have you ever done like a terrible job though? Then, like, have you ever done what would be classified by everybody in the show as a terrible job?
Oh no, if I have to get things done, I will, but it's just to stay self-motivated to start new projects. Like, things are going well and I'm still making good income. But because I have more time in the day that I could be devoting to maybe not looking at cars online and actually...
Still spending GT fees.
Well, yeah, just looking at, it's going down the rabbit hole. I have all the social media apps blocked, so I'm not wasting my time there. But, going on Google and looking at sports cars and stuff that I might never buy because it gives you gratification for like maybe a week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious to see the mindset behind someone as successful as you, Hormozi.
I think it's the work thing, man. Like, make it easy as possible to work as hard as you can.
I joked with Kirby once that how many Ferraris I could have a year with how many software engineers I employ. One software engineer is 5 Ferraris a year. So I could have like 50 Ferraris, more than that a year, every year. So like when I was young, I thought of, I can't wait till I can afford a Ferrari. But now I just see software engineers. No shit, like a genius software engineer, I get the most excited ever. Because I just want to build cool shit and I need that person to build. The only reason I care about money is to get the software engineers. The only reason I need the software engineers is to make the thing I want to build. So it's like modern adult Lego, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy who owns Sriracha sauce, if you know that, it's a pretty cool story. He's a billionaire. He owns the entire company. And when they were asked, like, so what motivates you to make money? He's like, so I can make more hot sauce. He's like, I make money so I can make more hot sauce. And he started like at the back of his van with like a tub, and he would just like give Sriracha out. And that's how he did it. And so I think that like it really comes down to inverting the formula.
That was Mr. Beast too, right? Every amount of money he made, he poured into the next video. And he only wanted to make more money to make a better video. He just wanted to make the best videos. And I just want to make the best product. And I know that Boeing, the airline company, they used to have the mission statement to make the best airplanes in the world. And they did. And they were I think they were the most valuable company in the world at one time. Then it changed management and they changed it to produce the most returns for shareholders. And they bombed. So when your goal is sometimes to only make money, you fully miss.
And the problem from a strategy perspective, because I've walked through this with some of the founders of the portfolio companies, is when the goal is to make money, you have a lack of focus because there's a zillion things that make money. And so it makes it impossible to prioritize. Whereas if you're trying to make the best product, the best school, the best community, the best whatever, then it's very clear the one thing that you need to do. And that's why I can feel like it's so lost, because you're like, there's all these things I could do. It's because the goal is the wrong goal.
There was a point when I was in Thailand and I did the maths and I realized that I could never work again. And I thought that would be the best feeling ever. I thought it'd be like a cat in the sun, just purring and relaxing.
What a visual.
Depressed I've ever been. It's like if you do nothing, the mind gets so anxious and you're like overthinking stuff. But work is like, you quiet the mind. It's like if you go skydiving, that's why people love sex, people love skydiving, get a silent mind, but work gives that feeling. And it's productive. So it's like the antidote to depression.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, that's probably more the root of my question, because I am doing well. It's just, I feel like I could be more proud of myself, but I'm just struggling to find the,
You don't have to be. I'll share one thing and then I'll loop back to what you were saying. So I had a guy that I talked to a few years ago, really brilliant PhD, developed a software, sold it for 180, and then like truly just hung out with his family. And so I was like really excited to talk to him because I knew he was really bright. And so I was like, how do you create and destroy meaning in your life? That was the question I asked him. And he said, why does life need to be meaningful? And I was like, fuck, all right, got it. And so basically it was just an assumption. It's like, why do you need to be proud of yourself? Why do you because like dissatisfaction in general comes from deprivation, all right? It's also a great source of fuel. But back to the piece that you have, if you work as hard, let me ask you this question. If you worked as hard as you could on something, and at the end of the day, you had nothing left to give, would you be proud of yourself for working that hard?
yeah, and that's what I did during the Skool Games for about like towards the end. And
Right. So what you do is just zoom in on that, and you try and live as many of those days in a row as you can.
Yeah, we're giving you all-time leaderboards.
Oh, we'll see. You said that.
You know Ted Hormozi, you know these guys are partners, and Ted was hitting me up. He was like, man, Daniel's depressed. Now that the leaderboards are over, he was like, we need these all-time leader. He's behind the idea for all-time leaderboards to motivate Daniel.
Yeah, it's just for him. Yeah. Good. Yeah. And then you'll have someone to chase.
I felt fine until I got a taste of purpose with the Skool Games. Like I was doing great. I had a taste of ultimate purpose with the Skool Games. There's meaning in my life. Hormozi. It wasn't even about that anymore. It was just about the leaderboard.
About winning.
I saw people like crawling up on us. And I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, shoot, we gotta go. And then it was over, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? The day it was over, I think I was just lost, and I didn't even work that day. What's the point to all of it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It might sound.
No, it's fine. It's when the goal is the outcome, the moment you hit the outcome, then there's nothing. If the goal is the work, you never hit it.
It's the sense of progression. That's what it's doing to you. So like in video games, for a game to be successful, you have to have a sense of progress. Like clear sense of progress. If you don't get a sense of progress, you'll stop playing the game, right? And so the leaderboards just give you a very clear sense because you can go up and other people are trying to come up. And so it's just grinding and making progress. But yeah, once you can see it clearly, like grinding progress, it gets easier to habitualize that. Yeah.
You're also 18?
19.
Got it. Like, so you honestly, you haven't that many reps. Like you haven't had that many reps at work. And so like, you'll get a better taste for you'll be like a connoisseur of work. You're like, this is a 96, this is a great work day. Oh, this work day was a little bit different than others. And so you just get better and better at refining how to structure the day so you can do what you want. Because you figured out the cat purring in the sun is ridiculous. That like, you know that that's not the outcome. Like, that's not going to do anything for you. And so then it's like, what else is there? And so it just comes down to the work you do.
Yeah,
that's just how I answer that question.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, because when I realized that was a little depressing, but I can totally see how it becomes just a game of war and chasing goal.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's why you have the billion goals.
Sure. Yeah. Just really far. It doesn't matter. I mean, it matters a ton, and at the same time, it doesn't matter. Any other ones to add to this misc list? Yes.
I wanted to ask Sam, because you have children too, right? I have a little son, and we're planning for the second one. So how do you factor that in? How do you balance that when you actually love to work? So that you find like a good balance.
Well, my wife wants me home by dinner at 6:30, and I feel like I need to work 12 hours a day. So there's only one way that works. When I wake up at like 5. And there's only way that works by going to bed at 9. So if I go to bed at 9, wake up at 5, work 12 hours, I can get home for dinner, then spend the evening with the children, everything works. But that took me like a year to figure out. By the way. Like, it sounds simple, but yeah.
What's my question is like when you were the mother, right?
Well, I can't answer that.
like roles were reversed. What would you, or do you feel like you're spending enough time with your children?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
But also,
You know their names, right?
Huh?
I said you know their names.
yeah. I also spend all of Sunday, right? So I work 6 hours. I work like 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I'm satisfied with that. I don't feel like I need to do any more than that. But if I don't do that, I do feel like I'm sacrificing something. And that's when I get like resentful. So provided I can do that, then I don't feel like I'm guilty about not working more or anything. And I can make sure my wife is happy and I do spend plenty of time with my children. It works.
What was the best way to balance or to figure that out for both of you? How did you?
What, sorry?
Was that a negotiation or was it just condition?
Between her.
You and your wife.
Oh, well, my wife wants to be a mum and she stays.
What was the best way to balance or to figure that out for both of you? How did you?
What, sorry?
Was that a negotiation or was it just condition?
Between her.
You and your wife.
Oh, well, my wife wants to be a mum and she stays at home and that's her dream. Mm-hmm. So it's perfect that I just want to work, right? Because I pay for both of us, right? So it works really well. But she has a requirement, like she wants to spend time with me and the children, so I have to be home by 6 and one day on the weekend. That works really well. But to find that, yeah, it took like a year because I didn't wake up that early. I woke up later, so I worked later and then I would miss the dinner and yeah. It's honestly so funny that it ended up just being that simple. I actually got out a spreadsheet and I was like, okay, I need to be home at 6. I was like, I need 12 hours. And then I was like, fuck, I've got to wake up at that time. But then I was like, I need to sleep for 8. Oh, I've got to go to bed at that time. I was like, holy shit, I've never done that. But then you just have to go to bed at that time. And the key to that is to wake up at the early time. So to be tired by that time. And then once you get into a habit of that, it all just flows. Oh, the other thing is we have a chef person that prepares our meals. We have a maid that washes the laundry, does the cleaning, so that my wife doesn't feel a burden there. Mm-hmm. So, because I also don't do any chores or anything, and so that's a key to my happiness, by the way, is because if my wife's exhausted, she's going to take it out on me. Or I'm going to have to do some chores. So if I come home and Ashley asks me to do chores, I scale up our cleaner one more day a week.
I guess that's also where I probably need to hire someone full time because I'm still doing the household as well. And so.
Oh yeah, no, the household, get that off your plate.
Yeah,
that's the biggest time suck.
Yeah.
It's a solution for your business and your personal life, full-time employees.
Yeah. But probably next to me, though, where I can really say, okay.
Food, laundry, and cleaning is it's half your day gone. Yeah.
Layla had this issue just from a wife perspective where she's she wanted to make all my meals because she actually has a relatively conservative view on marriage and whatnot. And so she wanted to be the ideal wife, but also was running all of our companies. And it was an unspoken expectation she had of herself. And when she was getting stressed out of her mind, trying to be on Zoom calls and cooking meals and courses for me that she would give to me. And then I didn't know that she was struggling with this. And then when she said, she just broke down, and she's like, I'm a bad wife and I'm not doing as good of a job in the CEO thing. And I was like, oh, make more money. I was like, I don't care at all who makes I love that you make it, but it's food. Like, I don't care. And so, like, huge burden. And then she just was like, great. She's like made her Asana list, and she was like, outsource. And then she just made us more money. And I was like, great, that's awesome. So yeah, I think, to be fair, I think there's probably just a conversation worth having of like, what do you want? And then I think Elon was like, how many hours does a child really take? He was like, 10 hours a week. He's like, 18. Like, he was like, you just come up with the hours, and then I think you do the Excel sheet and you say like, how do I make it work? And the only problem is when I want 40 hours of your time to be with me and the kids, like, that's when you have to have a harder conversation.
Yeah, setting the expectations is really key.
Onboarding.
And I hired where it hurt, even for my wife. So like, I could see she was struggling with food because she wouldn't eat, and I'd come home and then there was no dinner. And so I was like, okay, we need to get this problem solved. And then I went to get a t-shirt and there was none clean. My first instinct was to just buy more t-shirts, but it's still, there was none clean. I was like, okay, this pile's too big. Like, she's never going to do it. So yeah, it's funny. It's just like operations. I think of home ops and company ops, and they're honestly essential.
Yeah.
If my home ops broke down, my whole life would fall apart.
I actually think it's like an identity problem, what you described, right? So you want to be the good wife as well, because you like have that, but then you just can't do both. Full capacity.
It's a prioritization thing, which is you just have to look at it and say which is more important to you. And then, like, I think you just have to live with the answer of which one actually is more important versus what you think.
I mean, I know what I'm better at.
But sometimes the thing that's like most important is what you think should be most important rather than what is most important to you. And that's a tough one to like identify. And that was kind of what Sam was alluding to earlier, like with Daniel's, like sometimes the goals that we have aren't actually our goals. They're goals that we think we should have.
Yeah. Or where you're still so embedded in your family and the expectations where you just live a very different life. And then
the other thing is, by the way, I don't work from home. And I sometimes do, and it is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel so guilty trying to work when there's like a kid screaming at the door. And I can't go to get another LaCroix because I have to walk through the family.
Install a fridge in the room in the office.
Yeah. I just, honestly, the office is so good for me. And I've also found that family misses you and loves you more when you get home, when you're not there all day.
Deprivation.
So yeah.
It's true.
So it's
Works,
only winning, honestly. I get no distractions and I come home and everyone's happy to see me. Whereas I work from home and people start to resent me. And I am like not productive. Yeah.